What's up everybody, welcome back to Serial Nutrition. We're gonna do something different today. I am standing instead of sitting and I have a whiteboard. So things are getting serious. Yes, that assumption was correct. Today we're gonna talk about my diet break that I've mentioned on Instagram, probably in my emails, and maybe in the video before this. Honestly, it's hard to keep track. Today is Wednesday, April 25th. I am almost done with my diet break. I've already done a week and 2-3 days. Today is day 4. So I just wanted to give you an update about how it's going, because maybe you've not heard of a diet break before. Maybe you, just aren't really sure. And honestly, I guess I really haven't thought of what I'm doing as a diet break before. I think I've done it before, but I have never really done it this purposely, or maybe that's not the right word, with so much structure. I've never set out to do a diet break. I think I've more or less been on diet breaks. So this has been a totally different experience for me. Mentally, I've experienced a lot of things that I kind of want to talk and go over with you guys, because I think, I don't know, I think there are parts of or just perspective, which I did talk about in the last video, is an important part of any goal that we're working for. So I just wanted to go over that a little bit with you. So let's start with what exactly a diet break is. So we all know, or we should know if you're watching this video, that I did an 8-week diet leading up to my friend's wedding, which was now almost 2 weeks ago. That is insane that she has now been married for a week and a half, but she has. So yeah, that ended about 10 days ago, I guess, my diet. I have a cruise coming up in June for my parents' 35th anniversary, however, which would be 10 weeks, I guess, after Kelsey's wedding. So with this diet break, I'm doing a 2-week diet break. That'll give me 2 weeks off and then another 8 weeks to push through. So most diet breaks are about 2 to 3 weeks long. And the way that we go about them is we just come back up to maintenance calories for our current body weight. So I started my diet at 147 pounds. I ended my diet at 142 pounds. So then I went and found my maintenance calories for 142 pounds, or what should be my maintenance calories for 142 pounds, and I came out with 2,100 calories. When I started my diet, like the actual dieting phase of the last 8 weeks, I was eating roughly probably 2,200 calories a day, and maybe 2,000 calories a day. And I ended the 8 weeks eating roughly 1,700 calories a day. I say roughly and on average because for those last 8 weeks, I had a high, low, and moderate day that I was eating for. So my low days were like rest days when I didn't work out at all. My moderate days were probably cardio days, and my high days were weight training days. I really liked that until really the last 4 weeks of this last diet. So that's how I had been dieting for like the last 2 years. I had 3 or 4 different days to choose from, different calorie, different macro ranges on those days. But what I found is that on my off days, especially the deeper I get into a cut, the harder it is and the more mental fortitude and strength it takes to get through those off days because my calories are so low. I've done a little bit of reading, and probably best practice would be that your high day should not exceed double your lowest day. And for me, that was happening and more, so it's not surprising that it was taking such mental effort for me to make it through my off days and not just go balls to the walls and eat everything. I would like to make eating or dieting a little bit easier for me, so I'm going to switch things up, which I will probably go over in this video as well. But anyways, my low days were really low and my high days were obviously much higher. So now every day is the same, except for my off days. I'm going to keep them a little bit lower just because I'm not moving as much. So I'm going to eat 2,100 calories, which is roughly what it would take to maintain my 142 body weight on cardio and weight training days. And then on my rest days, I'm just eating about 1,700 calories. So a 400 calorie difference. If I'm hungrier, I will, like true hunger, I will eat to that. I'm not trying to be crazy perfect, but I also, the point of these 2 weeks weeks, you could do a 3-week probably diet break, is not to eat like an asshole. And that's important. We have to know what the point is of where we're at right now. And that is something that I guess I've been struggling with. So in my head, it's been this battle of like, am I dieting right now or am I not? What am I trying to do? Am I trying to lose weight? Am I trying to maintain that exact 142? Is it okay when I pop up to 144? Like, what is going on? And the truth is, what I'm doing right now, what a diet break is for, is to take a break from dieting, which should make it easier to then continue with dieting. I should feel much more excited about going back to my diet come Monday. Most importantly, we're going to restore hormones because things get a little bit off whack. So things like cortisol or leptin, ghrelin, peptide YY, they all get a little bit crazy because dieting is a little bit crazy and it kind of goes against human nature. And instead of feeding ourselves enough so that we don't get in a situation where we don't have food and then we are a little bit out of luck, which we don't really deal with anymore, but our primitive bodies used to, and they are used to that, they know that. We tell our bodies when dieting, we're going to eat less and it'll be okay and go ahead and lose weight for me too, okay, thanks. So when we do that, that kind of gets things out of whack. So we take a 2-week diet break at a minimum to restore all of that. It takes 7 days to restore things, and then we take that next 7 days to optimize things. I know a lot of us are worried about optimization, so we do 2 weeks. Could you do a 1-week diet break? I guess you could. I guess you could do whatever you really wanted to do, but probably best practice would be more like the 2-week range, maybe 3 weeks. I would plan these out as you plan out your diet. I wouldn't just randomly throw them in because you want to make sure that after your break, you still have enough time to get where you want to be going. So I'm giving myself another 8 weeks of dieting, like 8.5, I think actually, which will be plenty of time for me to get back into dieting, lose weight, make some mistakes, and keep moving forward. So this should be planned out, I would say, as you plan out your diet. And maybe a whole nother video is how exactly to plan out your diet. What I could say right now is just work backwards. Work from your goal date and count back from then. So anyways, back to our diet break. What I'll be doing besides just eating more is doing minimal cardio. So when I ended my diet, I was doing probably like 4 days of cardio. And the more we do cardio, the more we have to do cardio. So we want to make sure that we're keeping cardio as a tool that we can use and not something that we have to do throughout the day. So especially during this diet break, my weight has gone up to as high as 146, but it's basically hovering in the 144 range. When I weighed in at 146, which was actually just yesterday, I was really annoyed. I really felt like I ate correctly, and because again, I am struggling with this whole, am I dieting, am I not dieting? So I want to have snacks at work, and I had been having snacks at work, and then I randomly weighed in at 146 when I hadn't been having snacks at work, and I had worked out because last week was a deload week, so Monday was my first workout. I worked out yesterday as well. Today I'll do glutes. So it was just really annoying, and my own tendency is to want to do cardio to make up for that. But that's probably not a best practice. It's definitely not a best practice because doing cardio all the time to control your weight is going to force you to do cardio all the time to lose weight. We want to be able to add cardio in to get more weight loss, not to maintain the current flow of weight loss, okay? So during this diet break, we do as the minimum amount of cardio as possible. So this week, actually today I'm gonna go take Christian's climb class. This will be my first time taking any climb and my first time taking his climb class at EdgeStudios in Sacramento. Check it out. That's a 30-minute class. I typically do like an hour of cardio twice a week. So that's already a little bit less cardio. I definitely won't be doing 4 days of cardio or 4 hours of cardio. And then my plan when I start my diet is to keep it at 2 hours of cardio for the first 2 weeks and then add on every 2 weeks from there so I can make sure that I am where I want to be when I need to be there. If I don't need to increase cardio, I won't increase cardio if weight loss is going really well. But I want to be able to choose to increase cardio or not. And so for that, we will do as minimal cardio as possible. I don't know why that's such a hard sentence for me to say. What else can we talk about? Just weight gain during this time frame. So again, if I was eating roughly 1,700 calories a day, and now I'm eating 2,100 calories a day, 1,700 at the end of my diet, 2,100 calories now. That's a pretty huge jump up in calories. That's a 400 calorie jump. Even on my off days, eating at 1,700 calories, I was eating maybe 1,000 calories, which was really hard on my off days. So I'm taking a 700 calorie jump there. So weight gain is to be expected. I am eating more carbs in general. Most of those calories are actually coming back in carbs, which is good because that means that I can pretty dependably say that the weight gain I'm experiencing in this 2-week time frame is just from water. It's glycogen replenishment. But that's going to be good for my hormones. It's going to be good for energy levels. It's going to be good for me in the gym. And it's going to be really easy to get that weight off when I go back to dieting. If I've taken a big jump up these 2 weeks, then I'll take a big jump down on Monday, which means less carbs, less calories, less water retention, and kind of we're gonna flush that all out of my system. So it is really hard, speaking firsthand. It has been really difficult seeing the scale fluctuate. Being 142 and having worked so hard for that and then seeing it jump up to 146 when I started my diet at 147 wasn't the best feeling in the world. But today I'm back down to 144.4, so that weigh-in was probably due more to having squatted and worked out for the first time in a week, since again I deloaded my first week of the diet break, and less to do with actual weight gain. Let's keep that in mind all the time. We're not going to gain actual weight and definitely not actual fat mass in one day, probably not even in a week if we're controlling for calories. If it's something that we find we cannot get off of ourselves, then yeah, you've gained some actual real fat. But again, I'm eating 2,100 calories, mostly from an increase in carbs. I'm not eating until I can't eat anymore. I'm not eating like an asshole. This isn't a food eating contest. This isn't who can shove the most food in their mouth. This is a break from the diet, but it is still a part of the overall diet plan. So we do want to keep the end goal in mind there. Mentally, I guess we should just talk now about like the mental things I've been going through with this diet break. One would be the weight gain, which is a little bit difficult to see. Two is, or mainly it's those two. It's the weight gain and it's the, am I dieting right now or not? And I think it's kind of taken me a week to realize like sort of kind of both. Like I'm not dieting, but I can't just go out and eat whatever I want. There is a calorie goal that I need to be aware of. I still need to get protein in. I still need to control my carbs. I still need to watch that fat because the fat adds up really fast, especially if you're not paying attention. Everything has fat in it, it would seem, and so that adds up really quickly. So those have been my biggest mental burdens or hurdles to get over with this 2 weeks. But I think it's also probably something really good for me to experience because then I can talk to you guys about it, because a lot of what goes on in that headspace is what helps push us forward or what pushes us back. And so we really want to control the mental aspect as much as we can. We want to be as alert and aware and honest as possible so that we're not making changes that we don't need to make. We're not making ourselves restrict unnecessarily, but we're also not being blind to any kind of weight gain that might be occurring. This is also a great time to mention that it is a good idea to be weighing in every single day, because when we weigh in every day, we're a little bit more accountable for the bites, licks, snacks, tastes, whatever, that we let ourselves get away with during the day. Because when you see that weight pop up to 146, you really have to ask yourself, is it just because I worked out yesterday, or is it because I've also been snacking a little bit extra over the past couple of days? So awareness, honesty, the more that you can be aware and be honest with yourself, the better coach you're going to be with yourself. And I have to really keep that in mind because I want to maintain being my own coach. But in order to do that, I'm gonna have to be really as objective as possible with myself, which is obviously really difficult, but it's not impossible. So if you're interested in taking a diet break, 2 to 3 weeks long, current body weight maintenance calories, least amount of cardio possible, and we will restore those hormones so you are back to dieting in better shape than you ended your diet with. But but able to progress on. And you really should not be gaining any real serious weight in 2 to 3 weeks. If I ended my diet at 142 and I'm currently mostly weighing in at 144, that's 2 pounds. It's pretty easy to say that that could be water weight. So I'm not really all that worried at all about getting back to 142 and then pushing past that when I go back to dieting next week. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any more questions about diet breaks, just send me a message. I'll include all of this in the description box below. Have a good day, everyone.